Sheikh Hasina, the fall of power, 5 crimes, and a death sentence, the darkest night of a nation. It was exactly 3:27 in the night. The city of Dhaka was in deep sleep, but there was a strange vibration in the air, something that wasn't normal. A peculiar silence floated over the sky, like the stillness before a storm. Suddenly, the distant sound of a siren broke through the night, loud, unsettling, as if some heavy incident had sent a shock wave through the veins of the city. Outside the International Crimes Tribunal of Dhaka, police vehicles started lining up one after another. Armed commandos stepped out of them, with heavy shields and tense expressions. It was clear that something extraordinary was about to happen. Something no one had ever imagined. Lights flickered on inside the courtroom. Outside, the flashes of journalists, cameras ripped through the dark sky. And within minutes, a piece of news surfaced. A piece of news that shook global politics. Former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, has been sentenced to death. These words floated through the air and fell over the entire city, spreading across Bangladesh. People couldn't believe it was real. In the middle of shocked faces, the Sam line kept echoing over and over. A verdict that was about to change the fate of the country forever. That night, everything in Dhaka came to a halt. Streets grew deserted. Markets shut down abruptly. And the news that rose from outside the court spread across the country within minutes. People thought it might be a rumor, but when government channels confirmed the verdict shortly after, the entire nation erupted in turmoil. This was the Sam Sheikh Hasina, who had ruled Bangladesh for years. The Sam leader whose name resounded from the streets of Dhaka to the halls of the United Nations. The Sam woman who was once considered the most powerful voice in the country. And today, that very person had been declared a criminal by the nation's highest court. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere surrounding the verdict was unbearably heavy. The judge's voice was calm, but behind it lay the weight of years of investigation, conflict, and stories stained with blood. Sheikh Hasina was found guilty in 3 out of 5 charges of crimes against humanity: murder, conspiracy, torture, and the unlawful use of state power. These were accusations that were horrifying not only politically, but also from a human perspective. The court sentenced her to death in 2 cases for directly ordering killings and for inciting murder. In the 3rd charge, the court held her guilty of oppressive acts against humanity. Former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan was sentenced to death for the murder of 12 people. Former Police Chief Abdullah Al-Mamun was sentenced to 5 years in prison as he became a state witness and exposed the entire conspiracy. But the nation was shaken the most by one line written clearly in the verdict: the accused Sheikh Hasina and Asaduzzaman Khan are absconding and have been hiding in India for the past 15 months. Everyone present in the courtroom froze for a moment after hearing this. The revelation felt no less than a scene from a thriller film. The 2 main accused had escaped beyond the country's borders and taken shelter in a neighboring nation. And now, orders had been issued to seize all their assets. But what exactly happened that led to such grave charges against the former Prime Minister of the country? To understand this, we must take the story backwards. Many say this didn't happen in a single day. It was part of a dark layer of power, authority, and oppression that had been hidden in the nation's politics for years. This story begins when student movements shook the streets of Bangladesh. Thousands of students took to the roads, raising their voices. They were demanding educational reforms, safety, and justice. But the government did not see this as a movement, it saw it as a threat. And that was the moment when things began to spiral out of control. The first charge is linked to the incident when protesting students were brutally attacked. The charge sheet states that Hasina gave direct orders to the police and armed groups associated with the Awami League to attack these students. No prior warning was given to the protesters, no conversation was attempted, and no concession was offered. Instead, baton charges, bullets, and arrests were carried out systematically. Many were injured, many were left permanently disabled, and some even lost their lives. The court declared that this was a deliberate and unlawful misuse of state power. The second charge was even more horrifying. Digital evidence, call records, and testimonies of military officials presented in court revealed that Hasina had authorized the use of helicopters, drones, and deadly weapons to crush the movement. This was a time when the world was speaking about democracy, yet the streets of Bangladesh were being showered with bullets. Drone surveillance was used to track students. Those who seemed suspicious were picked up. Many disappeared. Years later, when the trial finally began, families appeared in court and cried while describing their pain, but their voices had been suppressed for so long. The third charge is linked to the night of 16 July, when Begum Rokeya University student Abu Said was murdered. He was a student who always stood at the front of every protest, gentle in nature, respectful in demeanor, and deeply committed to educational reform. But it was this very reason that made him a threat in the eyes of the government. The allegation says that after identifying him, he was deliberately targeted. He was taken away under the guise of a fake arrest, and the next day, his body was found. The evidence presented in court clearly established the involvement of Hasina and Asaduzzaman Khan. Their call logs, their directives, their meetings, everything connected the pieces of the story. The fourth charge relates to the incident on 5 August, when a peaceful march in Dhaka's Chankharpul area was suddenly fired upon. 6 unarmed protesters were killed on the spot. Witnesses stated that the group who fired the bullets was associated with the Awami League, and they had already been present there, as if waiting for someone's orders. The court concluded that this attack was pre-planned and carried out with Hasina's knowledge. And the fifth charge, the most gruesome of all. It stated that 5 protesters were shot dead and their bodies were burned. One protester was even set on fire while still alive. This incident was not only brutal, but it showed how intoxication with power can erase humanity completely. Hearing this in court left everyone stunned. Many broke into tears, and the judge said, "This crime is so severe that its punishment can only be the death penalty." Within minutes of the verdict, violence broke out across Bangladesh. 2 buses were set on fire in Dhaka. People gathered on the streets in several places. Opposition political parties claimed this verdict was political revenge, while many organizations called it historic justice. The government declared a high alert. 15,000 police personnel were deployed in Dhaka. Orders were issued that if violent mobs appeared, toxic gas, water cannons, and if absolutely necessary, bullets could be used. Seeing all this, it felt as if the country was standing on the edge of a civil war. The Sam nation that once called Sheikh Hasina the architect of modern Bangladesh was now demanding her arrest. People were deeply divided. Some were celebrating on these streets, saying a justice has been served, while many were crying in her support. Old supporters insisted this was all a conspiracy. Some analysts believed that this verdict would split Bangladesh into two, one side that saw Hasina as a criminal, and the other that saw her as the mother of the nation. An elderly woman in Arshadpura was sobbing in front of her television. "She cannot be evil. She brought so much development. She built the road in our village." But at the same time, in the same village, a father sat holding a photo of his daughter, whom he had lost in the 5 August firing. Both their pains were real. Both their beliefs came from their own stories. And that was the tragedy of this case. One nation had already been torn into two. Hasina and Asaduzzaman Khan are reportedly hiding in India at the moment. The Indian government has not officially said anything, but international pressure is rising for both to be handed over to Bangladesh. This case has now become not just a legal matter, but a matter of international politics. But the story does not end here. The real question is, will this verdict make Bangladesh better? Or will it drag the country deeper into chaos? Is this justice? Or a new form of political warfare? Governments change, but the greed for power remains the same. And when power devours humanity, justice may come late, but it always arrives. This verdict proved that no matter how powerful someone becomes, they cannot escape the grasp of the law. Tonight, the air in Dhaka carries fear, anger, celebration, sorrow, but above all, shocking silence. A silence that says the story of this nation is now about to take a new direction. This chapter of history has not ended. It is only the beginning of a new struggle, a new question, and a new Bangladesh.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.